Welcome to the measurement review lesson. We're going to concentrate on two forms of measurement in this lesson: measuring the length of an object using a metric ruler and measuring the mass of an object using a triple beam balance. Let's jump right to using our metric ruler. Rulers will often have two sides to them. One side is the metric side. This side has very small spaces between the numbers, and there are 10 spaces between each number. The little spaces are millimeters. The larger spaces between the whole numbers are centimeters. If you look at the English side of a ruler, the spaces between the numbers are much larger, about 2.5 times as large, and there are not 10 spaces between the numbers, but an irregular number of spaces, an odd number of spaces. These are divided up by fractions. You can have an eighth of an inch or a 16th of an inch. In science, we use the metric side. It's based on 10, and that allows us to measure with decimals with a lot of accuracy. So if we take our metric ruler and we line it up here on this line, we line up the 0 with the beginning of the line, and then we see where the other end of the line ends up here. It's between the 12 and the 13, so we know our answer is going to have a 12 followed by a decimal. In this case, it's 5, 6, 7, or 8 dashes past the 12. If we look at the end of our ruler here, it's 7 or 8 dashes past the 12, and so 12.7 or 12.8 would be acceptable in this case. Here the computer tells us it's 12.7, and we label it with centimeters, cm. You do not need to write out the whole word centimeters. Cm is the accepted abbreviation. Let's jump right to our next line. Once again, we want to line up our 0 with the beginning of the line, and then the end of the line is going to be down here between the 9 and the 10, so we know our answer is going to be 9 point something. 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, 0.4, 0.5, 0.6 is here, 0.7 is here, so it's going to be between 9.6 and 9.7. Computer is going to tell us it's 9.6 centimeters in this case. And let's go down to here to our third line. If we line up the 0 with the end, you see the end of our line comes down here between the 15 and the 16. And if this is 15.5, we've got 15.6, 15.7, and 15.8. It looks like it's between the 15.7 and the 15.8. And so if I leave that there, the computer's going to tell us 15.7 in this case. Now you could also take your ruler, and instead of lining it up with the 0, because sometimes your ruler isn't going to have this nice space here, instead your ruler is going to start right around here. In order to make sure that you're not starting here at the 0.1 centimeters, one thing you can do is line up the 1 with the beginning of the line and see where it ends. In this case, it would end at 16.7, but you have to subtract this 1 centimeter that you left in the beginning as a margin. You have to subtract that. So even though this is lined up with a 16.7, the real answer is 15.7 because you have to subtract the 1 centimeter that you did not use on your ruler. Feel free to rewind at this point, and you can do some practice on your own paper using lines you've drawn and using the ruler provided with your agenda or any ruler you might have at home. If we look at here for some practice, we've got several lines here. We've got another metric ruler, so if we line it up here, this line goes past the 2, but not quite to the 3, so we know our answer is going to be 2 point something. And if we look at the little lines, it's 1, 2, 3 lines past the 2, but not quite to the 4th line. So I would say for this one, an answer of 2.3 centimeters would be an accurate answer. If we look at our next line, we line it up again at the 0. And in this case, it's between the 5 and the 6, and it's 1, 2, 3, 4 little lines past the 5. So if it's 4 lines past the 5, it's going to be 5.4 centimeters. Once again, let's measure our next line. In this case, we start here at the 0, and it comes out here. It's between the 6 and the 7, so it's going to be 6 point, and we see it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 little lines past the 6, not quite to the 7th. I'm going to say 6.6 centimeters. Our next line is between the 4 and the 5, and it's exactly at this long line in between, and that's going to be our 5th millimeter, so it's going to be 4.5 centimeters. And our last line, I'm going to start at the 1 this time, once again for practice, starting at the 1, and it comes out here and it goes between the 9 and the first dash. I'm going to say that's 9.1, but we have to subtract the 1 centimeter we didn't use. So our answer is not 9.1, it's going to be 8.1 centimeters. That concludes the length measurement part of this lesson. At this point, I'm going to move on to the balance use, the use of the triple beam balance for finding mass. So if we take a look here, this is what our balance should look like when we do not have a specimen on the pan. All 3 riders are located at 0. The smallest one, the middle, and the back are all at 0. And that should our balance should be level at that point and pointing at the 0. Once we add an object to the pan, any object having mass is not going to be equal to 0, and so our balance the pointer will no longer be pointing at the 0. And we will move the riders over until our balance is level again and the pointer is pointing at the 0. So in this case, if this balance was balanced, we would take the value of all 3 riders and add them together. So we'd start with the largest, 300, and then we add the back one, 40, so that's 340, and then it's on the 7 here exactly, so it's 347, and if we count how many little dashes it is past the 7, it's 0 dashes past the 7, so our answer is 347.0. And our units on the balance are going to be grams. We use grams to measure mass in science. So if we take a look at another example here, different balance, same idea. We start with the largest, 276. So 276. And then for the decimal place, it's however many dashes it is past the 6. So that would be 1, 2, 3 dashes past the 6. 276.3. Once again, our units are grams. In order to take the makeup quiz for the measurement stations, in addition to watching this video, you will have to come in to Mr. Phillips's room and practice measuring the length of some lines and the mass of a couple samples. Please stop by and see Mr. Phillips to make arrangements for that practice. Thank you.